The basic rule is that any rich person who has more than the nisab level, more than 85 grams of gold, a saving, for more than 1 year, then if that saving remains with that person for 1 lunar year, then zakat is immediately applicable. So the moment you have that saving of more than the nisab level, more than 85 grams of gold, if it's for more than 1 year, if you save it, whether the saving starts in January, December or April, the moment it's with you for a period of more than 1 year, then zakat is applicable. And it can be given any time of the year. But for convenience, it will be difficult if I start calculating, this money I have with me. Now, in January I had 1 lakh rupees, in February I had 1.5 lakh rupees, then 50,000 I had in March, then again in April I had 3 lakh rupees. So it's difficult. So for convenience, what we do, that we take any point of the year. And most of the Muslims, they prefer Ramadan because being a holy month, but you can give any time. At the time of Ramadan, in the 1st of Ramadan you decide, or the 5th of Ramadan or 10th of Ramadan, you take a point in the calendar year. It should be lunar calendar. It can't be December or January because that becomes the solar calendar, which are 11 days more. So then you'll be paying zakat less. In 33 years, so you'll pay zakat once less. So take any one point of time. And since we don't follow lunar calendar, Arabic you don't know very well, most of the people take any one date of Ramadan. And at that time, whatever money you have, you give zakat on that. Now, when you do this policy, you remember, you are actually maybe giving a little bit more than what is actually meant to be given. Because if you have a saving more than 1 lunar year, then zakat is applicable. Now, once we calculate, suppose the 1st of Ramadan. So if we have, suppose now 10 lakh rupees saving, so you pay on that. Next Ramadan, you have 20 lakh rupees saving. So here what happens, it can be possible that you may be paying a little bit more zakat, but you can't pay less. You can't pay less because maybe when in this month of Ramadan you have 10 lakh rupees, next 1st of Ramadan you have 20 lakh rupees saving. But actually maybe 5 lakh came just 1 month before. So on that 5 lakh zakat is actually not applicable. So when you take one fixed time of the year, it's a very safe thing. Now, whatever money I have at one particular time of the year, it is very safe that you are at least paying the minimum zakat. You may be paying a little bit more. Means if you are saving 2 lakh rupees, zakat comes to 5,000 rupees. If you have 2 lakh rupees. Or if you have 20 lakh rupees, it comes to 50,000 rupees. So actually maybe 2 lakh rupees came just 1 month before. So zakat is not applicable at that time. It's applicable maybe after 11 months. So you may be paying a little bit more, but you can't pay less. So this is a very safe system. So normally people, they prefer Ramadan, but there's nothing as such. But once you decide, suppose you take the cutting off point as Ramadan. And then suppose the rich people have 1 crore, 2 crore property. So 2 crore property means they have to pay about 5 lakh rupees zakat. So what people normally do, they can even spread it out. Like they know approximately, like my zakat for the next year, this coming year, will be approximately 5 to 6 lakh rupees. So every month I take out 50,000 rupees. You can do. You can pay zakat in advance. You can even pay 2 years in advance. And there's a hadith of the Sahabas, he paid extra zakat. He said that, Ya Rasul, can I pay for next year? Rasul said, yes, you can. So you can even pay for 1 year in advance. Because to take out 5 lakh immediately in 1 month may be difficult. So people even can say that approximately my zakat comes to 5 to 6 lakhs. So every month I take out 50,000 rupees. And the final calculation is done at the cutoff date. Most of the non-Arabs, they prefer the cutoff date being Ramadan because that's easy to calculate. But there's no such rule as you should be in Ramadan. But if you have one particular date, you can be sure that you aren't paying zakat less. You may be paying a little bit more, but not less. So that's the reason people prefer giving charity in the month of Ramadan because thinking they get more sawab. So if they do that, there's no problem. But there's no rule as such that zakat should be given in the month of Ramadan. But if 1 year is over, you can't delay the zakat. Suppose if you're calculating for the full month of Ramadan, if you calculate the 1st of Ramadan, whatever is due, you should pay immediately. You can't say I'll pay later on. If you have paid in advance, no problem. Then the balance you can pay immediately. So if you say once you calculate, then immediately within a few days or a couple of weeks, you can't delay it too long that, okay, fine, I'll give it after a few months. That's wrong. So that answers the question. Any sisters have any questions?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Is it allowed for a woman to ask a man whom she would be marrying to take her to Hajj as well as her mother to Hajj? And thirdly, although my intention would also be to do it as Hajj Tamattu.
So that's the question that is it possible that the man she's going to marry, can she perform Hajj with that man along with the mother, sister? the person who you have been thinking you'll be marrying or you have been engaged to, yet he is your non-mahram. So Hajj with a non-mahram is totally haram. So you cannot do Hajj that your husband will be your husband maybe after 2 months or 3 months and to perform Hajj together. It's totally haram, sister. He cannot be a mahram. You have to do Hajj with your actual husband after you have done nikah, or with your brother, or with your father, or with your uncle, but you cannot perform Hajj with the person who you will be marrying, or if he's your fiancé. Unless nikah is done, you cannot perform Hajj. Whether it's tamattu, whether it's joint Hajj, whether it's separate Hajj, any type of Hajj, even Umrah you cannot do with your fiancé sister. That's not allowed in Islam. Hope that answers the question. Yes, brother.
Brother, we usually see that Christian put their name before that, like Saint Peter, Saint Joseph, and Saint Xavier. So what is their ideology behind this?
There's a question that why do some Christians put Saint Joseph, Saint Peter? What is the saint? Saint means a holy person, a person close to God. In the Christendom, they have a particular philosophy that sainthood, not the philosophy that is there, sainthood can only be given by the Pope, and sainthood can only be given to a person after that person expires. And at least you have 2 miracles. So now, the latest saint they want to give is to Saint Mother Teresa. Mother title is for respect, sister you call, mother is more respect. So they want to give sainthood to Mother Teresa also. So after she expired, the bill was passed in the Vatican. So the Pope has identified 1 miracle, which I forgot what the miracle was. So they have to identify 2 miracles. Person who dies is a holy person and close to God. Sainthood is given to a person who is supposed to be saintly person who is close to God. Now in today's age, to bestow a sainthood to anyone can only be given after the person dies. In today's age I'm talking about. After a person dies and after the Pope passes a decree, and then at least 2 miracles to be identified. So the one that is in the process of getting sainthood is Mother Teresa. Any sisters have any questions?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My question is regarding a person who, we cannot call him an atheist or discuss the entire discussion, it will take time. But the basic thing is we gave him certain scientific facts, certain logical facts, and in spite of that the person was not convinced, and everything got stuck where it comes to faith. So can't we really explain this concept of faith, or is it not possible for us to convince a non-Muslim regarding faith? Because there are many things for which even science does not have answers. So how do we go about? And also I would like to know that how do you keep yourself updated with the scientific innovations or maybe the inventions, new discoveries that are coming up?
Sister asked 2 questions that we have spoken to an atheist or a person, not atheist, but doesn't believe in Islam. We tried to convince him with scientific facts, archaeological facts. They agreed, but when it comes to faith, we can't answer. How do we convince faith and how to update ourselves with scientific facts? This time regarding faith is concerned, with scientific facts we can talk about faith. But how you go about it is the technique. Therefore, Quran says in Surah Nahl, chapter 16, verse 25, Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal maw'izati al hasana